Live from central Pennsylvania, this is CBS 21 News This Morning.
Round 2 of a complex winter storm continues to bear down on central Pennsylvania. This morning, we have live team coverage of the weather conditions in both York County and on the Capital Beltway. It is a weather-worn day here at CBS 21 as a winter storm warning remains in effect. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for waking up with us. Probably wanted to wake up and see, hey, what's it looking like out there? Are my kids going to school? Sherry Christian here along with Ashley Honey and Steve Knight. You guys had that answers. And this is complex house, Steve.
That's the first thing I did this morning. My alarm went off at 1:45 and I ran to the window and looked out the blinds.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you do in the morning. We're going to get you caught up with everything that's been going on overnight and kind of prepare you here as we move forward. You said it, Sherry, a very complex weather system. We've seen a little bit of everything here over the last hour or so. Now, there are some breaks you can see through Lancaster, Lebanon County, Dauphin County, but don't be lulled to sleep because we've got a very long way to go with this weather system, and there's still a ton of moisture to come our way. But you notice there, we're already seeing a little bit of a changeover through Adams and York counties to more of a wintry mix. So it's this classic battle in the upper levels of the atmosphere. We've got warm air that's trying to nudge in with all of this precipitation, and you got the cold air hanging on in place. And so those areas, Harrisburg and to the north, seeing the snow now. So it's still a possibility of a snowburst here, but as we take you hour by hour into the future, right through the heart of the morning commute here, we're going to see this changeover. That's that purple shading indicating more of a wintry mix, even some pockets of some freezing rain, especially in the higher elevations. So I'm anticipating some sleet, perhaps some pockets of some freezing rain. Eventually by this afternoon, we change all of this over to plain rain. And then it's really wet for us. In fact, the rain doesn't shut down until after midnight tonight. So here's what we can expect moving forward through today. A little bit of snow out there right now. I don't see a whole lot more in terms of additional accumulation coming our way. We change things over to a wintry mix. Then we've got that mix of sleet, freezing rain through mid-morning. By the afternoon, we get it up to 34 degrees, and that's when we see everything change over to plain rain. So a real sloppy mess for us throughout the day. Be careful out there. And be sure to download our CBS 21 weather app as we continue to track this system. Of course, it's free. It's easy to use. Search CBS 21 WX in the App Store on your smartphone or tablet.
Yeah, and as Steve was saying, we've got a long way to go. Trouble's already starting for us this morning in the Lebanon area. We're following an accident that's been there for about an hour now. US 322, both directions south of Lebanon are completely closed due to an accident there from White Oak Street to Colebrook Road. There was another accident just north of Lebanon on I-81 northbound near the 78 split. That's since cleared, but you could expect some residual delays in that area. So just be extra cautious on those back and secondary roads this morning as you will encounter some slick spots. That's a look at your CBS 21 traffic alert.
And there are dozens of school delays and cancellations today. We have the list scrolling at the bottom of your screen. You can also find it by going to cbs21.com or by listening to any of our radio station partners listed here. Kicking off our team weather coverage now with CBS 21's Michael Gorsinger. He's been live for us all morning long from York County. You're in Manchester Township. Michael, what are the conditions at this hour?
Well, Sherry, we've seen kind of a potpourri of weather over the few hours we've been out this morning. What started as snow has now turned to more of a rain. We even saw some sleet and some freezing rains, but 30 looking really good. We're at the intersection of Route 30 and Interstate 83. As you travel towards Interstate 83, the traffic going away from us, you can see just wet lanes here, a little bit of slush on the right turn lane, but really things looking very good. Now, as you move away from what would be one of those main roads and what would be now a parking lot or a secondary road, you're gonna see a slushy kind of wet mess here all over. I mean, that's probably a good about ½ inch of slush on the ground. So certainly be aware as you head out the door this morning, whether it be to a parking lot at work or just getting out of your driveway. See plenty of crews out here this morning doing their best to try and clear away some of that snow from overnight. But we're seeing a continuing amount of what would be some freezing rain and some rain that still continues to fall. So as you head out the door this morning, A, just be careful as you get out the door, and B, as you hit those secondary roads, make sure you take it easy, but the main roads looking in good shape. That's very latest from here. Back to you, Sherry.
All right, we appreciate everything you do for us out there, Michael. And PennDOT says they were prepared for the second round of snow. However, their biggest concern is when things change over to sleet. Spokesperson Mike Rochunas tells us sleet and freezing rain washes away everything they put down on the roads, so the salt trucks have to continuously treat them. He says the major highways are being treated with salt only, and the less traveled roads are being treated with the salt and anti-skid mixture. And we have a crew traveling the Capital Beltway this morning. CBS 21's Joe Ducey in the passenger seat with photojournalist Gary Sherman driving. And Joe, you've been traveling all around all morning for us. What's it looking like right now?
Yeah, Sherry, well, good morning. Like you said, we've been traveling around for quite a bit, and we've actually seen roads improve over the past hour or so. Going to flip this camera around so you can see what we're seeing right now. We are on I-83 heading north, and you could see the road is pretty much just wet right now. A little while ago, we had Fritzy Schreffler on from PennDOT talking about what PennDOT's done to treat the roads. And here on the Capitol Beltway, it seems they've been doing a really great job. That 45-mile-an-hour speed limit restriction in place, and we really haven't seen too many problem areas. Like I said, we've seen conditions improve significantly over the past hour or so. We've been out on the road since about 4:15 when we first got out here. It was a good amount of slush built up on the roads. Those on and off ramps were kind of tricky to navigate. But again, this is a look at I-83 heading north, where the road is just wet and traffic seems to be moving pretty good. For now, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, we appreciate that. You and Gary, stay safe. This winter storm stretching all the way from the Midwest up to New England. This is a live look at what folks in Bethlehem are waking up to this morning. And stay with CBS 21 as we continue to cover this winter storm. And be sure to tune in to CBS 21 News at noon for a special newscast. Happening today, the Harrisburg Diocese is scheduled to host a listening session in Lancaster County, although there's no word if this weather will affect the plans. Bishop Ronald Gaynor is hosting a series of listening sessions to address last year's grand jury report about clergy sex abuse in Pennsylvania. As of now, tonight's meeting is set for 6:30 at St. Leo the Great Parish in East Hempfield Township. Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman's statewide marijuana listening tour takes him to Perry County today. He's trying to gauge the interest in legalizing recreational pot in Pennsylvania. Last night, the first meeting was held at the Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg. Many there said the tax revenue could go to good use.
I would like to see the state set aside a certain percentage of the revenue to go back to the cities, towns, and boroughs to help pay for the additional police officers to enforce the laws.
Lieutenant Governor Fetterman is scheduled to host his second meeting at 6 o'clock tonight at the Newport Public Library. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill say they've struck a deal to avert another partial government shutdown. Congressional aides say the bill contains about $1.3 billion for just 55 miles of border fencing. That's far less than the $5.7 billion the president has asked for, so it's still unclear if President Trump supports the deal.
We hadn't put all the particulars together yet, but we believe from our dealings with them and the latitude they've given us, they will support it.
There's not a single one of us is going to get every single thing we want, but nobody does. But we're going to get what is best for the United States.
Congress has to pass a bill that President Trump will sign before a Friday night deadline. A memorial for a local man killed in Nashville. How friends and loved ones are remembering the Carlisle native who made quite a name for himself in Music City, USA.
Well, it's looking like another snow dance. Our list of delays and cancellations continues to grow. You can see that there at the bottom of your screen. I'll break everything down for you hour by hour with my first morning forecast. I want to stress still a long way to go with this storm. You can see a live look here out at Route 30 in York County, and this is pretty much what we're seeing this morning. Main roads mainly just wet. Of course, they have been treated, but any back secondary roads, untreated surfaces are going to be quite slick for you. We do have temperatures this morning that are down below freezing. Now we're starting to nudge things a little bit closer to the freezing mark. We're kind of hovering right around 31 degrees right now in portions of Adams and York County. So along this line right here, you see that changeover, and that's the warmer air that's pushing in from the south. And we're seeing that changeover from light snow over to some sleet and even some pockets of some freezing rain. And you can see all the moisture that is yet to come with this storm system. So we're going to be dealing with this throughout the day today. So here's what we can expect: snow changing to a wintry mix. Eventually, we've got that wintry mix and even some pockets of freezing rain through mid-morning. By this afternoon, though, we warm things up and change everything over to plain rain as our afternoon high will be around 34 degrees.
So first things first, please don't be on the roads if you don't have to, but if you are heading out, do keep in mind that PennDOT has put in a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit restriction on most of our major highways and routes this morning. And do also keep in mind that those on and off ramps are going to be slick. Same goes for those back and secondary roads, even though, as Steve mentioned, we're starting to change over to the wintry mix. Still, things are going to be a little bit patchy for you out there, but so far so good in Harrisburg. We're accident-free moving around the Capitol Beltway. That's a look at your CBS 21 traffic alert.
A child is recovering this morning after being hit by a car in Lancaster County. Happened last night on Monterey Road at Mill Creek in Upper Laycock Township. The child was taken to the hospital. No word on the severity of the injuries, though. A passenger in a single vehicle crash in Adams County has died. Officials say 19-year-old Chase Shepard died from his injuries yesterday. Investigators say he was thrown from an SUV after the driver lost control. It happened Saturday morning in the 2300 block of Newman Road in Hamilton Bend Township. We're told Shepard was not wearing a seatbelt. We're learning more about a body found in York County. The coroner says the body appears to be female, but the identity and cause of death are still unknown. The significantly decomposed body was found Thursday in the first block of Crawltown Road in Warrington Township. Friends and family are mourning the death of a Carlisle native killed outside of his Nashville home. A memorial service for Kyle Yorlitz was held in Nashville yesterday. He was the lead singer of the rock band Caverton. Fans and loved ones say he was an inspiration.
Kyle was the guy who sang to me in the car the songs that made him think of me from his new album. I remember him singing the words that he'd fall in love over and over again in the middle of a midnight ice cream run.
The 24-year-old was shot and killed Thursday during a robbery. Police say 5 juveniles have been charged in his death. It's another snowy morning here in Central PA. We're tracking the winter storm as it passes through our area. Steve will be back in a few minutes with more details on what you can expect. A winter storm warning remains in effect, and you might want to give yourself a few extra minutes to make that morning commute. CBS 21's Michael Gorsinger joins us live from York County with a look at the current road conditions. Things haven't been too bad where you are, Michael. What's the latest?
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad at all, really, Sherry. This is Route 30 right here next to me as it makes its way towards Interstate 83, and honestly, things are shaping up pretty good. All as you see, everything down to bare pavement, just some wet pavement, even the right-hand turn lanes, pretty good shape, just a little bit of slushy mess. As far as the parking lots, what you're going to expect here this morning is really more of the same, a slushy, wet mix. The crews have been out all night long trying to clear those parking lots, make sure that you have a nice, safe morning commute, but really things shaping up very nicely. Now we are seeing some precipitation. It's been an off and on kind of a rain and sleety type of mix. Now for the most part, just some rain. Now Steve, of course, has been warning that this is going to continue on. You're going to have to be aware of some freezing potential. However, again, as things shape up right now, we are not seeing many problems. We just checked in with New York County 911. All looks good so far. So solid traveling to start your morning. That's the best way that I can describe it for you, Sherry.
That's a good description. Hey, Michael, I think you and Tom were able to have fun yesterday. Our next story is about some kids enjoying the snow. Were you guys the ones who were out there at Reservoir Hill?
We were, yeah. Reservoir Hill, just up the road here in York County, one of the best, probably sledding hills that you can do. It's awesome. So we had some fun getting with a couple families that were out there enjoying the outdoors. It's the fun part of the job, right?
Exactly, right? So I'm glad that we were able to tell folks about that. Meanwhile, you continue to do what you have to do for us this morning, and we appreciate it.
Will do.
Let's show you those kids in the snow Michael was talking about. Yeah, he and Tom shot this. Many schools were closed yesterday because of the weather, so the Adams family got to spend the day sledding down Reservoir Hill in York County.
I like being outside and seeing the trees with the snow and just sledding and stuff. It's fun.
The snow's fast and packed, and they're having a blast.
And you can see the hill wasn't too crowded yesterday, but you can expect a lot more people to be taking advantage of it today now that there's more snow on the ground. And if you are out having fun today, we want to see it. Show us your snow day pictures. You can share them by visiting our website, cbs21.com, or use the CBS 21 News app and click Chime In.
And now, CBS 21 News First Warning Weather with meteorologist Steve Knight.
Yeah, a long way to go with this system. We've got the winter storm warning that remains in effect until 6 o'clock this evening. So we're going to be dealing with this moisture really all day long and even into the evening hours tonight. Now, eventually, by this afternoon, we'll warm things up enough that we'll change things over to plain rain. But kind of want to call your attention to this area right in here. Already, through portions of York County and then down through Adams County, Franklin County, we're seeing that changeover. That's the purple shading indicating some pockets of some sleet, even some freezing rain, freezing drizzle. So a real complex system. We've got a big battle that's going on here. What's the deal is we've got the warm air that's trying to nudge in from the south. Meanwhile, the cold air to the north is trying to hang on. and hang on for dear life. But eventually this warm air wins out, and that's kind of this line here, this warm front that you can see is kind of crossing right across central Pennsylvania. It's always been about, when were we going to see this changeover to more of a wintry mix and then eventually plain rain. So temperatures right now, of course, temperature is the big key. You notice Chambersburg 32, 31 in Gettysburg, 30 in Shrewsbury. Here comes that warmer air. Carlisle is up to 30 degrees. Meanwhile, Frackville sitting at 23. So those areas to the north, especially north of Harrisburg, still pretty cold. So let's take you through our future radar here. As I mentioned, long way to go with this system. We see a changeover. We've got a little bit of sleet, a little bit of freezing rain, and then breaks in the action, and then eventually the radar filling back in with more pockets of sleet, freezing rain, and then eventually we change everything over to plain rain by later on this afternoon. I think after lunchtime, most of us will just be dealing with some plain old rain. But then we deal with rain all the way up until about midnight tonight until things actually clear on out of here. So here's what we can expect moving forward. A little bit of snow out there, already changing over to a wintry mix in some spots, and we get that mix of sleet, freezing rain through mid-morning. Then by this afternoon, get that high temperature up to around 34 degrees, and that's when we change things over to just some plain rain. In terms of additional snow, I don't think we see much. In fact, I think we're pretty much done. Any areas south of Route 30, maybe a ½ inch to an inch in some spots, especially some of your higher elevations, but just a really sloppy day today. Snow, eventually sleet, freezing rain, changing over to plain rain this afternoon with a high around 34. Then tonight, dreary night. We've got periods of rain. I don't think the rain shuts down until around midnight tonight, so soggy for us tonight. There's a look at the rest of your first morning 7-day forecast. So a chance to dry out and warm up. Look at Thursday, upper 40s for Valentine's Day, but concerns about Friday because it looks like a steady rain, 52 degrees, could have some problems on some of the area creeks and streams by Friday evening.
It's a wild ride we're on, that's for sure. We're checking in with our roads this morning in York, where we're doing just fine. Really, we're accident free. A lot of people staying off the roadways for right now, and that's a really good decision to make, especially on those back and secondary roads where you will definitely encounter some slick spots this morning. As far as Route 30 goes, moving both east and westbound through our region, we're accident free. No issues on 83 if you're heading either north or south through York. Let's look at your CBS 21 traffic alert.
Schools in our area are reporting delays and closings, but one in particular has a unique way of doing so. The fun video one local district posted to let its students know to come in 2 hours late.
Sloppy mess of a day. This is a live look at Route 30. I can tell you, any of your back secondary roads, any untreated surfaces are going to be slick. Most areas still seeing temperatures down below that freezing mark. And York is one of those areas we're seeing that changeover now to a couple of pockets with some sleet and a little bit of freezing drizzle as well. So going to get slick for you here this morning. In fact, I want to show you what we have on first warning radar. Everything filling back in right now, but this purple shading indicating that warmer air wedging in, changing things over to sleet. Freezing rain. Eventually, we'll change all of this over to plain rain, but not until later on this afternoon. A lot of moisture left to go with this storm system as the warm air tries to wedge in and to change things over to rain. So some spots, especially north of Harrisburg, still seeing a little bit of light snow. We're changing things over to a wintry mix, and we've got that mix of sleet and freezing rain through mid-morning. By this afternoon, we change it over to plain rain with a high temperature around 34.
Getting a check-in with things moving around Carlisle on the West Shore this morning, where we're doing A-OK. Really, for the most part, our major roads are not an issue this morning. People are heeding those speed restrictions that PennDOT has put in place, 45 miles an hour on most of our major interstates and routes this morning, but it's always those back and secondary roads that you just need to use a little extra caution on because you will encounter some slick spots. That's a look at your CBS 21 traffic alert.
And with this snowy weather, many schools in our area are reporting delays and closings, but the Cumberland Valley School District is kicking it up a notch, bringing a little creativity to their delayed start announcement.
Huh.
Snow delay. On all these mornings we find ourselves saying, schedules changed.
Good on them.
Right? The school district posted this fun video on Facebook yesterday. It features a group of elementary school principals singing about the 2-hour delay. You probably recognize it. It's set to the tune of Shallow by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper from the film A Star is Born. So we should note that Cumberland Valley is going to have to change their tune a little bit because they actually decided to close. They're closed today.
Back to the writing studio.
A lot of fun though, right?
Well, check this out. The new CBS comedy, The Neighborhood, has been picked up for a second season. It stars Cedric, the entertainer, Max Greenfield, Tashina Arnold, and Beth Bears, about a white family that moves into a predominantly black neighborhood. Arnold and Bears say they love the opportunity to address social issues with humor, and they both have the chemistry on and off screen. It shines through.
You know, we're cool. People need to see that we can all get along.
Especially now, we're all so
understand each
divided
other.
as a country. To be on a show that promotes togetherness and community and love and coming together, I mean, I think no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, that's why people are tuning in, that everybody can, you know, laugh and feel the warmth and the heart, and it makes your night better. You know?
So The Neighborhood airs Monday night at 8 right here on CBS 21.
So they had an episode last night, and it was really cool too because talking to Beth and Tashina, we're on first name basis now, right?
Of course, yeah, we're kind of besties.
Right? We learned from Beth about who's from Lancaster County.
Yep.
That her family's still there.
Yep,
and
yep. She grew up here, and they were both just incredibly lovely and so genuine, really down to earth.
Right, a lot of fun
Great
to talk
people.
to.
Yeah.
So, and we like the show too. And that,
Right,
that helps as well.
that definitely helps. You should check it out.
Well, hearings for Governor Wolf's budget plan kick off with an attack from the GOP, the aspect of the governor's proposal Republicans want to stay far away from. A weather-worn day here at CBS 21, taking live looks into York County and the Capitol Beltway. It is a messy morning commute for us, folks. And this morning we have live team coverage. Michael Gorsinger and Joe Ducey both out in the elements. Ashley Honey keeping an eye on the road. Steve Knight tracking the storm with our weather coverage. Dozens of delays and closings. One of my daughter's schools just closed, started out as a delay. So you can keep track by checking out the bottom of your screen all morning long, right? You can also find it on our website, cbs21.com. Ashley, we'll get a check of the roads in a minute. You've had your eyes on the roads
messy out there
all morning, Steve, let's start with you, though, with this complex system.
Yeah, you know, it's already changing over to some areas of sleet and some pockets of freezing rain and drizzle. That line that I drew there, that red line, kind of shows you that cutoff between where the warmer air is trying to nudge in, and then we still have the colder air to the south. Just checked in with some friends of mine in Lewistown, and they said they're getting a little bit of light snow right now. So it's all about location, as it often is when we talk about our wintry weather. So these areas in purple, more of sleet, even some pockets of some freezing rain, freezing drizzle, and we've got a long, long way to go with this storm. Look at all the moisture here, and this extends all the way back down through Louisiana, even down toward Texas. So we're going to be dealing with this moisture throughout the day today. Future radar here, we continue to see this changeover. There will be some breaks from time to time throughout the day, but we're going to continue to just see these waves of precipitation come our way. And it's not really, I don't think, until this afternoon, after lunchtime, that for everybody at least, we start to change things over to plain rain. So there's going to be a lot of slick spots out there, especially any of your untreated surfaces. And the rain doesn't shut down until after midnight tonight. But eventually, we do change things over to just plain rain. So here's what we've got. Still a little bit of light snow out there, especially to the north of Harrisburg. We're changing things over as we speak to a bit of a wintry mix. Then we get that mix of sleet, freezing rain here through mid-morning. By this afternoon, our temperatures warm up across central PA to around 34 degrees, and that's when we change things back over to plain rain. So a real complex system and a very, very sloppy CBS 21 weather worn day. And remember, you can track the winter weather with us by downloading the CBS 21 weather app. Just search CBS 21 WX. It's free. You can get weather alerts sent straight to your phone.
And it's very easy to use. Well, checking in with Lebanon this morning, where that's actually been our problem area. We do have an accident that's been ongoing now for a little over an hour and a half on US 322 south of Lebanon. All lanes there remain closed due to an accident between White Oak Street and Colebrook Road. So just err on the side of caution if you're going to be heading in that direction, and be prepared for a detour. Other roads surrounding Lebanon doing A-OK this morning. Just be extra careful on those back and secondary roads if you would. That's a look at your CBS 21 traffic alert. And Joe Ducey joins us live now from the road this morning. He and photojournalist Gary Sherman are traveling the Capitol Beltway. Joe, how are those roads?
Hey Ashley, good morning. Well, really we're seeing a wide range of conditions. I'm going to flip this camera around here so you could see the roads, see what we're seeing now. 1 minute the roads are wet and it's raining. The next minute the roads are a slushy mess and we're dealing with more of a wintry mix. Now you do want to keep an eye out for slippery bridges and overpass with the possibility of refreeze. They do freeze faster than the roads. For the most part, though, what you're looking at here, I-83 heading north towards Harrisburg, just wet right now, but you definitely want to keep an eye out. Don't be fooled just because you're not seeing a lot of accumulation. Conditions can deteriorate quickly on the on and off ramps and near the shoulder. Again, we've got that 45-mile-an-hour speed limit restriction in place here on this stretch of 83, so you just want to, again, give yourself plenty of room between other cars, and you want to give yourself a few extra minutes as you get set to head out today. For now, we'll send it back to you in the studio. Ashley?
Joe, thank you. You and Gary, stay safe out there. PennDOT is hard at work this morning. You can see here on this 511 PA plow truck map. The trucks are all across the state working to keep the roads safe. PennDOT spokesperson Fritzy Schreffler will be joining us live on the phone in about 15 minutes with an update on her crews.
And this massive winter storm covering pretty much the entire state of Pennsylvania, which means folks in the southern part of the state, you're waking up to a mess as well. And that's where our CBS 21's Michael Gorsinger is live for us, all running long in York County with what he's been seeing out there. And not too bad, huh, Michael?
Some rain now over the past probably about an hour, and now we are seeing more really just kind of ponding on the roadway and a slushy mess than anything else. This is the parking lot as we stand right off of Route 30, Interstate 83, and as you can tell, a little bit of slush. Over here on 30, both directions moving just swimmingly, as you can see here, just some wet roads, so that of course is good news. We checked in with York County 911, no problems on any of the interstates, main roads, or really side roads at this point, so that of course is good news. Now, we have seen a ton of plow trucks out, whether it be independent trucks, PennDOT, or the township guys getting to work trying to make sure that these roads are clear, and that is definitely a consistent theme that we are seeing. But really, all you're going to encounter is kind of a sloppy mess here in York County, the southern portions, Lancaster and Adams County, just really that slush that you're going to see accumulating on those side roads and even in your driveway. So take it easy as you head out the door this morning, but other than that, you shouldn't encounter too many problems at that point. It's nice, Sherry, once in a while to actually be the bearer of good news.
You're right, exactly. Be outside and not completely freezing to death. So I agree,
right,
Michael.
Exactly. Not freezing and not being engulfed by snow. That's a great thing.
And we appreciate it. Thank you, Michael. And you can count on CBS 21 to continue tracking this winter storm, as well as the road conditions and everything else that will affect you today. And tune in at noon today as we continue our live team weather coverage right here on CBS 21. Other parts of the country also dealing with winter weather. Check out this video. Look at that car sliding out of control. This is on a snowy road in Iowa, and that's a squad car the car hit, stopped on the shoulder. Fortunately, police say the officer was not in the car at the time because he was helping another driver who slid their vehicle into a ditch. Officers say this is a great reminder to drive with caution, especially in these types of weather conditions. Key Senate and House lawmakers in Washington say they've reached an agreement in principle aimed at avoiding a second partial government shutdown at midnight Friday. A congressional source says the agreement includes more than $1.3 billion for barriers such as fencing, but no wall. It also calls for a reduction in the number of ICE detention beds, a key demand of Democrats.
I want people to come in to our country, but they have to come in legally and they have to come in through merit.
President Trump says the wall is being built. He made the comments at a campaign rally in El Paso, Texas last night. He continued to insist that the barrier separating El Paso from Mexico has made the city safer, a claim not supported by federal statistics.
We stand for America and we stand against walls.
Not far from where the president was speaking, former El Paso Congressman Beto O'Rourke told those at a counter rally that walls cause more problems than they solve. O'Rourke is still deciding on a presidential run, but holding the first dueling rally of the 2020 election season may indicate he's ready to join the race. More pressure for a major healthcare giant to renew a contract with an insurance provider. The state workers who say they will be affected if the contract dispute is not solved, and why.
Well, a very complex winter system continues to barrel into central Pennsylvania. We've got some changing conditions even as we speak. I'll break it down for you hour by hour with my first warning forecast. Want to take it right to First Warning Radar. Oh, actually, first we want to give you this live look at Route 30 here this morning because surfaces are just wet right now on the main lines. It's your back and secondary roads. Any untreated surface that's going to be a bit complicated for you. We're starting to see some pockets of some freezing rain and drizzle move through York County. It's all about location here. All of the purple shading that you see, that's where we're starting to see a little bit of a changeover to some sleet. I just stepped outside the station here and we're getting some sleet here at the station. But now areas off to the north, if you're headed up Route 15, 22, 322, they're still seeing a little bit of light snow in those areas, and portions of Franklin County also seeing some light snow, and a long way to go. Still a lot of moisture with this system. Eventually, as the warmer air continues to nudge in, we'll see that changeover to more of plain rain by this afternoon. So some spots still dealing with some bursts of snow, others changing over to a wintry mix. Eventually, everybody changes over to a mix of sleet and freezing rain by this afternoon. Just plain rain as we warm our temperatures up to 34 degrees.
And getting a check-in with our roads moving around the Capitol Beltway this morning, where it's a pleasant surprise. We're actually doing really, really nice. I think people are heeding the warnings and staying off the roads. If you are on the roads, keep in mind to just take it easy. PennDOT has implemented a speed limit restriction of 45 miles an hour on most of our major roadways this morning. River routes are accident-free. Same goes for those inner-city Harrisburg roads. No problems moving around the Capitol Beltway. That's look at your CBS 21 traffic alert.
Officials say a 21-year-old Allentown man has died after falling at a ski resort in Carbon County. A spokesperson for Blue Mountain says he fell after going over a snow jump on a beginner's trail Sunday evening. They say he was not wearing a helmet. Now, this is the second skier to have died at Blue Mountain this year. A 17-year-old died after falling off a chairlift on New Year's Day. The man accused of shooting and killing 11 people at a synagogue in Pittsburgh is pleading not guilty. Robert Bowers was in federal court yesterday and entered the not guilty plea for a new indictment that added 19 counts. His attorney says he's hoping the case can be resolved without going to trial. Bowers also faces new charges of hate crime violations for the October shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue. A union representing state troopers says a contract dispute between UPMC and Highmark could have a negative impact on troopers and their families. The Pennsylvania State Troopers Association says troopers may have to prepay for treatment at UPMC facilities for 6 months or longer when its contract ends next year. This, as UPMC is considering not accepting Highmark insurance at in-network rates. State Attorney General Josh Shapiro sued UPMC last week in an attempt to prevent the business deal from ending. Lawmakers are discussing Governor Wolf's proposed budget plan. Yesterday, during the House's first budget hearing, Republicans criticized the governor's proposal to increase the minimum wage. They say it would create fewer entry-level jobs, squeeze small businesses, and drive up inflation. The governor wants to bump the rate up to $12 an hour with an annual 50-cent increase, bringing it to $15 an hour by the year 2025. Expect some heavy snow and sleet today. We're tracking the winter storm as it passes through our area, dumping about a few inches of snow. Steve Knight will be back in a couple of minutes with more. A winter storm warning remains in effect, and PennDOT reducing some speed limits on major roadways. It must be working, huh?
Yeah, we're actually accident-free in most of our major roads this morning. So there's at least 12 highways in south central PA that have had their speed limits lowered to 45 miles an hour, and for a very good reason, too. Here are some of the major ones. Interstate 81 in Franklin, Cumberland, Dauphin, and Lebanon counties. Interstate 78 in Lebanon County. Interstate 83 in York, Cumberland, and Dauphin counties. And Interstate 283 in Dauphin County.
All right, and Ashley, you mentioned highways too, like 283, 22, and US 11 and 15 also have restrictions in some areas. We have that full list because we're throwing a lot of numbers out at you. We understand. Just go to CBS21.com for the full list. And Ashley is also looking at the roads. Yeah,
so as we mentioned at the top, we're doing surprisingly really well on our major roadways. It is just those on and off ramps that you could encounter some slick spots, and definitely those back and secondary roads. Really take it easy out there. We know PennDOT's been working really hard, so their work is really paying off because things look good this morning. So like we've been saying, PennDOT hard at work. They've been out there all night long, keeping our roads safe for people to drive on.
Yeah, we're going to check in now on their progress. PennDOT spokesperson Fritzy Schreffler joins us live on the phone this morning. Good morning again, Fritzy. We appreciate you being here with us this morning.
Good morning, ladies.
Oh, you're always such a trooper. So what is you and your crew's biggest challenges with this storm?
Well, the nice thing is that a lot of it came during the overnight hours, and now that we have school delays, school closures, and some business delays, that really helps us to be able to get out there and treat the road without as much traffic on it.
Speaking of treatment, you have different ways of treating depending on the type of road it is and what's falling, right?
Right. We usually do a high concentration of salt on an interstate or a major expressway. As we start going down to secondary roads and lower volume roads, we do more of a mix with anti-skid, which is a little bit of gravel to give them some traction.
Definitely needed. And Fritzy, are you having any shortage with truck drivers this morning? And is that affecting the winter storms at all?
No, not at all. We have 310 trucks and 35 rentals in our 8 counties. The shortage that we have been talking about over the winter season is with temporary operators, where we hire about 150 each year, and we're not quite at that complement, but in terms of full-time, we're good.
All right, Fritzy Schreffler, PennDOT spokesperson, we always appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we just talked to Fritzy, right, about how PennDOT crews are treating the roads. Now let's talk to someone who's on them right now.
Oh yeah, CBS 21's Joe Ducey and photojournalist Gary Sherman are traveling the Capitol Beltway this morning. They join us live now. Joe, what are you guys seeing out there?
Yeah, Sherry, good morning. What we've been seeing really is a wide range of conditions. I'm going to flip this camera around so you can see what we see right now. We are on 81 heading south there. You can see right near the Enola exit. And like I mentioned, we're seeing a wide range of conditions. 1 minute roads are wet and it's raining. Next minute we're dealing with a slushy mess and it turns over to sort of that wintry mix that's been falling. One thing you definitely want to keep an eye out for, you want to make sure your windshield wipers are up to snuff. You have plenty of windshield wiper fluid. One thing we're running into when cars passing you by, they're kicking a lot of that, whether it's salt and slush, right up into your windshield. So you do want to make sure your windshield wipers and windshield fluid are up to snuff. And for now, we'll send it over to Steve Knight in the Weather Center.
All right, thanks, Joe, for that live look out there on the Capitol Beltway. The winter storm warning remains in effect through 6 o'clock this evening. We have still got a long way to go with this storm system. I want to show you what we have here on first warning radar. I do this red line to kind of give you this indication of where, we've got this battle going on between the warmer air that's trying to nudge in. I just stepped outside our studios here in Harrisburg a moment ago, and we're seeing a little bit of sleet changing over to some pockets of some freezing rain and drizzle. So I am concerned about some icing that could be going on, especially on untreated surfaces and any back and secondary roads. But once you get north of Harrisburg over to Lebanon and Lancaster counties, they're still dealing with a little bit of light snow. So a little bit of everything, as we've been telling you about. We were going to see this changeover during the morning commute. Classic battle in the upper levels of the atmosphere with this warm air trying to nudge in from the south, and that area of high pressure and cold air that's still trying to hang on. So you notice Chambersburg's at 32 degrees. Meanwhile, look at Frackville sitting at 24. So wide range of temperatures out there. Most spots are down below freezing. So as I mentioned, those untreated surfaces are going to be slick. We're seeing this changeover here through the morning commute to more sleet and pockets of freezing rain, freezing drizzle, and that will continue through the midday hours today. So lots of tricky travel still to come. Eventually we warm things up enough that we change things over to plain rain, but I don't think it stops raining until after midnight tonight. So here's what we can expect right now. Some areas north of Harrisburg and to the east of Harrisburg still seeing some light snow, changing over to a wintry mix and freezing rain here through the mid-morning hours. Eventually by this afternoon, we get it up to around 34 degrees, and that's when we see that change over to some plain rain. So we talked about the ice. I am concerned untreated surfaces. We could see some minor icing out there with coatings on the trees and on the power lines. Back secondary roads could get pretty slippery for us here through the mid-morning hours. So just a really sloppy day. Just a little bit of everything but the kitchen sink from Old Man Winter for today, as we've got the sleet, the freezing rain, eventually changing over to plain rain this afternoon with that high around 34 tonight. It's all about the plain rain, but it's a dreary night with a low dropping down to 32, and that rain doesn't shut off until after midnight. And there we go with the rest of your first warning 7-day forecast. So tomorrow we do dry out, but it's windy. Temperatures mid-30s. Look at that big warm up from Valentine's Day. It actually looks like a nice day, but we are concerned because Friday looks like a rainy day with a high of 52. We've already got our ground is saturated. We actually put some more rain down on top of that. We could have some issues with localized flooding. We're going to have to watch our area creeks and streams by Friday evening. Then a quiet weekend. And it is turning a little bit colder once again as we head toward the President's Day holiday.
What a week. It's only Tuesday, Steve. Coming up, we continue our team weather coverage on this weather-worn day. A live report from York County, plus some other top stories of the day. Plus this.
I'm Bianna Goladriga. Coming up, Bill and Melinda Gates will be in Studio 57 with the newest priorities for the Gates Foundation. That's coming up first on CBS This Morning.
You're watching CBS 21 News This Morning.
A final check of our top stories. The Harrisburg Diocese is scheduled to host a listening session this evening in Lancaster County. Bishop Ronald Gaynor will answer questions about the grand jury report into clergy sex abuse. The meeting is set for 6:30 at the St. Leo of the Great Parish in East Hempfield Township. And Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman is continuing his statewide marijuana listening tour. Today, he'll be in Perry County, talking to community members about legalizing recreational pot. Tonight's meeting will be at the Newport Public Library, starts at 6. Lawmakers have struck a deal that could avoid another government shutdown. Officials say the deal includes about $1.3 billion for border fencing, which is less than the president's demand. Congress and the president now have until Friday night to sign off on it. And again, it is a weather-worn day here at CBS 21 as we take a live look at the Capitol Beltway. Snow and sleet still bearing down on central PA. CBS 21's Michael Gorsegner joins us live from York County to continue our team weather coverage. Michael.
Sherry, what turned what began as a potpourri of weather really is now just a steady rain, and that's making for some good traveling along the roadways. Route 30 right here next to me, going eastbound in heading towards Interstate 83, having no problems whatsoever, just really wet pavement. And that's what you're going to see consistently throughout the morning here. We are seeing the rain pick up in the last 30 minutes, so that is causing some ponding and some slushing on the roadways, especially near the sides, but really all is well. As you can tell here, even when you head out the door this morning, the parking lots and some of those areas in which you're going to be walking, no problem at all. So as you head out the door this morning, just be careful, but really things looking very good. Guys, back to you in the studio.
Potpourri, a great word.
Yeah, let's show you what we have on first warning radar. That red line kind of indicating that difference between temperature. You notice the purple shading indicating more of that wintry mix, even plain rain in some spots. But we've got a long way to go with this storm system. Look at all the precipitation, all the moisture that's still to come, that's off to our south and off to our west. So some areas north and west of Harrisburg still seeing a little bit of light snow. We're changing things over to a mix of sleet, rain, freezing rain. I am concerned. Untreated surfaces back in secondary roads, still a lot of spots are down below freezing here this morning. So be aware of some icing going on out there this morning. Again, especially on those secondary roadways. Those treated roads seem to be in pretty good shape. We're actually talking about a warm up though by the time we get to Valentine's Day on Thursday, but then concerns on Friday. I think we could get a healthy dose of rain, and that could lead to some localized flooding as we really warm things up. But an ugly day today, Ashley.
Yeah, sloppy day ahead, that's for sure. We've been following an accident all morning just south of Lebanon on 322. All lanes remain closed there due to an accident between White Oak Street and Colebrook Road. Other than that, major roads in our area doing A-OK. Keep in mind the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit restriction that PennDOT has set in place.
All right. Stay up to date on social media pages and our weather app, and tune in at noon for special extended weather coverage of this storm. Have a good day, everybody.
And stay safe.